Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprava Nirvignam Kurme Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha. Om Dhyanamulam Gurur Murti Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam Pujamulam Gurur Padam Mokshamulam Gurur Krupa Tameva Mata Chapita Tameva Bandhusha Sakha Tameva Vidya Dravinam Tameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Sarva Mangala Mangale Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanyatrambike Devi Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Hrim Shri Hanumanji Maharaj Ki Jai. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 30th of September 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan residing in the heart of every single being. We are in the midst of Navratri 2025 and today is day number 9 of Navratri. How time flies. The 9th day of Navratri is dedicated to Devi Siddhidatri. Siddhidatri means one who is giving us siddhi, giving us perfection, giving us higher realization. There's a lot of meaning behind it, and there are, of course, what are called the Ashtasiddhis. So I want to try to explain what they are, what is the significance of Ashtasiddhi. There's Ashtasiddhi, Navnidhi. These are expressions that you may have heard before. Very interesting. Before we get into that, I just want to make sure that we are clear where we are headed with all of this exposition. Our goal is to move into that dimension by grace of God, by grace of Paramatma, Parameshwari, into the liberated Mukta state. That should be very, very clear. If that is very clear in my mind, in your minds, in everyone's mind, then the path is just beautiful. We will progress very nicely into that. And it's a very joyful and beautiful development of our within our lives. So Siddhidatri Devi is certainly referenced in the Markandeya Puran, chapter 81. She's referenced there. The name derives from the word siddhi, meaning attainment or spiritual power, and datri means giver. The one who is giving a certain attainment in spiritual development, right? So the Devi Mahatmya, a central text in the Markandeya Puran, frames the goddess as both the source and sustainer of cosmic order. So this is the first point to understand. Several points are here. We'll go through them step by step. Is there cosmic order? Yes. Open up any physics book. Open up any chemistry book. Open up any biology book. What do we find? Cosmic order. Everything is structured in a particular way. It's balanced with laws and principles and processes and all kinds of mechanisms, biochemical mechanisms and structures of molecules. Where did this all come from? This is discovered from our intellect as in the human framework. It is order. So the source of order and the sustainer of order is both Shakti. That is a certain kind of power. It is not a kind of power. It is power. It's dynamic expression of consciousness. So that's the bigger idea. Now, Siddhidatri in the 9th day of Navratri represents the final stage of a devotee's, bhakta's journey. Because it's a journey, right? The 9 days are a journey from one stage to another into this final stage of Siddhi. So it is liberation. It is Jivan Mukti. This is what we've been talking about and what we're going to talk about. That's what this represents. So what is the greatest Siddhi? It is living liberation, Jivan Mukti. Nonetheless, there are many other intermediate pieces here connected also. Now there's another point. In the Shaivite tradition, in the Shaiva Sampradaya, there's a narration that Bhagavan Shankar himself, Lord Shiva, received perfection from Siddhidatri Devi, enabling his manifestation as Ardhanareshwara. the synthesis of masculine and feminine principles. So it depends on which tradition you look at, but from the Shakti point of view, that Shakti is granted to Shivji. So then there's that fusion between Shiv and Shakti. That is a great teaching as far as householder life in one sense, but there's another meaning also with regards to the fusion within ourselves regarding the masculine, feminine, all the polar aspects of our energy flow. So that has that meaning also. And then which all goes back to balance and unity and transcendence. So these are basic ideas. Now, the Siddhis, I want to go through that actually today. This is called Ashta Siddhi. You hear this expression in the Hanuman Chalisa, Ashta Siddhi Navanidike Data Asavaradina Janaki Mata. Right? You hear this Ashta Siddhi, you hear this many times. What are these 8 Siddhis? Well, first of all, Ashta Siddhi means 8. 8 Siddhi means perfection, accomplishment. Some extraordinary powers are granted in the very higher stage of yogic perfection. What are these powers? And they are described throughout the Hindu literature or Sanatana Dharma. And they are definitely associated with the grace of different forms of God, especially Siddhidatri Devi. And is also considered to be the fruit of deep yogic tapasharya. These siddhis are sometimes viewed literally as supernatural powers and sometimes metaphorically as states of consciousness or mastery over one's mind-body processes. They actually are both. So what is the first siddhi? That is called Anima, A-N-I-M-A. Anima siddhi. Now this might seem like science fiction or supernatural stuff, but these are powers that yogis have gotten, and it is a matter of realization if there really is such a thing. But it's also a matter of more internal development in another way. So the ability to shrink one's body or consciousness to the smallest size, even to the atomic level. Is it possible to do something like that? Anima Siddhi. Take this body we have, it will shrink down to a really small size. Is that to be taken literally? Is there really such a siddhi like that? Could be. Why not? There can be. We don't know what the capacities are in terms of yogic powers. But this is described. And in ancient times, in older times, when people were doing a lot of sadhana and yogic process, maybe they could do these kinds of things. But, people say, these are just stories and all that. You can think of it that way. But there is a philosophical meaning behind it also. And that symbolizes humility. Because you're shrinking yourself down. Like there's a physical shrinking down. Maybe this literal you can take. Maybe there is such a way to do something like that. The stories in Ramayana of Hanumanji taking a really small size and taking a really big size and all those kinds of things. Are they just stories that are there? Maybe. But maybe there really is such a thing like that. And you can debate that. A debate will not take us anywhere. If one has mastered one's mind, and who knows what can happen, physically, psychologically, anything is possible. So siddhis are definitely there. I have actually seen sages, highly evolved saints. They can read people's mind like an open book. 100 people are sitting, they know everything that's going on. I've seen it actually. On many occasions, they literally like an open book. They can also see somebody's future, what is going to happen. These are all, it's called Trikal Darshan. So these 8 siddhis are the major ones that are talked about, but there's actually quite a few. And in fact, the number of siddhis is infinite. Let me just back up for one moment. The concept of siddhi is to gain vision of the play of Prakriti at multiple levels, in multiple dimensions. That is called siddhi. Even, for example, when we are doing research in science, right? Experimental method and different ways of using our buddhi to discover new technologies, new approaches. Like, for example, this AI. Take this AI that's come about. Wo kya hai? Wo bhi ek siddhi hai. It's a siddhi. It's a certain attainment in technological development, in computer language and machine programming, machine language and in computer science and intelligence research. It's a certain higher level development that we have now, artificial intelligence. What is that? That's a siddhi. But 100 years ago, they said this is fantasy, it's impossible, how could this can happen? Nobody would have imagined that in a phone, you can have everything in there. It's like a mini computer, right? You have videos and audios and podcasts and, you have WhatsApp. I mean, every app is inside the phone. It's not just a phone anymore. Wo kya hai? It's a siddhi. So, where did that come from? From the analysis of Prakriti, modifying what is available inside nature and then modifying it in such a way that it brings out this iPhone or brings out this AI or whatever. This is called siddhi. That's the same thing on the yogic side, that when a yogi, a bhakta reaches self-mastery, reaches a state where the mind is won over. Jitam jagat kena manohi yena. Adi Shankaracharya ji has written a scripture called Mani Ratnamala. Mani Ratnamala has 175 questions. And one of those, the questions and answer. There's a small question, small answer. So for example, one of the questions is Jitam Jagat Kena. So, who is it that has won the world? The answer is Manohi Yena. One who has won the mind. And this is referenced in Sarangpur number 1 Vachanamrut. It's a question asked by Muktanand Swami to Maharaj. You see, it's a very beautiful question. There's 175 questions like this. It's called Mani Ratnamala. I wish sometime in the future we want to just do a session on that. Go through them, maybe spend a month on that at some time in the future. Mani Ratnamala. The point I'm trying to make here is that to win the mind. What does that mean? What is winning the mind? So this TEMDE, thoughts, emotions, memory, desire, energy, our internal world, it has gotten dispersed. It has gotten, split in 1,000 directions. To win the mind, Jitam Jagat Kena, Jagat meaning world. But which world are we talking about? It's your world, the inner world. To win over that, to win over the doshas, to win over the limitations, to reach a state of self-mastery, which we talk about in our Angel Wing program. That mastery of the mind, not damage to the mind, not destruction of the mind. It is the mastery of one's life. This is called siddhi. The word siddha, let's be careful about the terminology. There are several words. There's the word sadhana, and there's the word siddhi, and there's the word siddha. Siddha Purush. Siddha meaning one who has reached a state of perfection. Perfection in the sense they have won over the distortions of the mind. This is like in the Jaina tradition, the Om Namo Ariyantanam, this mantra that is there. Om Namo Siddhanam, Om Namo Ayariyanam, Eso Panchanamo Karo. Right? Like this. So it is a respectful prostration to all the great masters who are Siddhas. So Mahavir, this is the concept of Mahavir. Hanumanji is called Mahavir. Mahavir Swami's name was called Mahavir. Veer means courage, one who has extreme courage. And Mahavir means one who has courage and this victory over the internal deficiencies in our life. That is called Mahavir. So Mahavir Swami, who is actually an individual, why he was called Mahavir Swami or as an incarnation, whatever the beliefs may be, because he won over the internal battles. He won the mind, won the Shadripu, destroyed them all, and reached the Atma Tattva, Brahma Tattva. The realization of the Atman, the realization of Brahman, super consciousness, the abiding at the feet of Paramatma in pure bhakti, the Gopi Bhakti, Radhika ji ki jaisi bhakti hai. That is the highest siddhi. Now, but what about these eight siddhis? I mean, how does that connect? Well, again, it's possible. Again, be careful. If people get into so many, as I mentioned before, they get into this thing about mythology and debates, and how do you know that you can actually take your body and shrink it to the smallest size? Is debate ka prashna nahi hai. This is a matter of yogic science. And, unless we are at that level of consciousness, we will not be able to shrink our body. And even if you shrink even if that can be done, that's fine. Maybe we don't know what that is. Who knows? Maybe it is something that is seen in samadhi. Maybe it is something that happens in some physical way. We don't, or something that happened in the past because there were different kinds of bodies in Satyayug, or in other yugas. We don't know. There's a lot of unknown things about this, right? About these actual siddhis. But anyway, the first siddhi is called anima, A-N-I-M-A. And that means the ability to shrink one's body or consciousness to the smallest size, even to the atomic level. That is how this is described. Okay, that's anima. I'm just going to go through all eight of them, and then I'm going to go through them one by one. The other one is mahima, M-A-H-I-M-A. Mahima means greatness in general, but it means to expand, the power to expand infinitely, pervading vast space. So maybe that is a samadhi state. It could be some kind of a state where you're sitting in dhyan and mind is just expanding. Vast openness. That's a possibility. That is called mahima. Okay, the third one is called garima, G-A-R-I-M-A. Heaviness. The power to become infinitely heavy, immovable, strong. The weight increases tremendously. This is called garima siddhi. Then the fourth one is called lagima, L-A-G-H-I-M-A, lightness. Just, you see how they're opposites of each other. The ability to become lighter than air, defying gravity. That is called lagima siddhi. Then the fifth one is called prapti siddhi, attainment. The ability to reach or obtain anything, anywhere, sometimes described as omnipresence or clairvoyance. So prapti, you wish something to happen, it happens. So you want to know something about what is happening 100 miles away, 5,000 miles away, what is happening in some other place within the universe. You can see it. So this is called prapti siddhi. Okay, the sixth one is called, it is spelled P-R-A-K-A-M-Y-A. Prakyama, if I'm saying that right, prakyama siddhi. Irresistible will, the ability to realize or fulfill any desire. Perfect stealth command. So Ichcha comes, and then that desire, it fulfills. It happens, right? So certain desires we have, and then if that sankalpa comes that I want this thing to happen in my life, I want this experience, whatever. So that is called prakyama siddhi. P-R-A-K-A-M-Y-A. Prakyama. Maybe that's how it is pronounced. I have to double check the pronunciation. Right? So the ability to realize or fulfill any desire, that is a sixth siddhi. The seventh siddhi is called I-S-I-T-V-A. Ishtva siddhi. Ishtva means what? Supreme sovereignty or power of absolute control over natural forces. So this is another possibility. Like the yogi or bhakta is sitting, and they can, the natural forces can be changed. Some storm is coming. We've seen stories of this kind. Some big hurricane is coming, some tornado, but some big yogi is sitting, some Mahapurush, and they can change the direction of the storm. Now, is that really proven scientifically? We don't know that. But there's a siddhi like this. It's called Ishtva. Ishtva, I-S-I, or Ishitva. I'm not saying this right. I'm sorry. It's called Ishitva. I have to see the Sanskrit actually. This is written in English here. Ishitva. I-S-I-T-V-A. Ishitva. That's what it's called. Supreme sovereignty or power of absolute control over natural forces. Amazing, right? That's the seventh siddhi. And the eighth siddhi is spelled V-A-S-I-T-V-A. Vashitva. Vashitva means subjugation, the power to subjugate or control others, natural elements, or even passions. Right? The only person we need to control is ourselves. That's why these 8 siddhis, whatever they are, however they are, in the bhakti marg, they are not deliberately utilized by the bhakta. They are kept away. They are basically kept on the side. One doesn't even touch them, any of them. They are there, but the bhakta is not concerned with it, because when you get into these siddhis, what happens? You can fall straight down, back into point zero. So yes, at a certain stage, like in Navratri, we're talking about Siddhidatri. She grants all kinds of, possibilities in life. But the question is it still within the domain of Maya? Or are we headed towards Jivan Mukti? So the greatest Siddhi, again Sachin's humble commentary on this, is saintliness. There is nothing equal to that. These other Siddhis, people have gotten into these things. They have lots of disciples and lots of Vaibhav and this and that because they have done sadhana. So you get the fruit of the sadhana, right? But then what happens? You could fall straight down to point zero again. It's happened to a lot of people, and there's danger in that also. But it is a stage of development nonetheless. So Siddhidatri Devi, she definitely grants all kinds of this development further, and that can happen, right? It can happen, and if you want certain experiences, somebody might say, I want a $500,000 job. Okay, you really want that? To karo sadhana. At some point that will happen in this lifetime, next lifetime, who knows? We continue sadhana, Bhagwan ki ichha. And if the time comes when the proper fruit is generated, I mentioned it before, in Devi Upasana, there's two things to keep in mind. There's a fruit that is generated, bhautik level, material level fruit. Yes, if you want it, you have to do the Shiv Shakti Upasana, Mataji ki bhakti karo, it is a certain phal, fruit that is fruit, meaning the experience you're wanting in life or needing, that is generated and is granted. Okay, but then what? If that happens, then what? What's next? What is next is to continue the spiritual path further into the state of Jivan Mukti. Not to stop there. Many people, this happens to people. They do a lot of upas and mantra jap and all these kinds of things they do. And then they get some result from that. And then they just forget about God. Okay, they're just lost inside that result. Aisa nahi karna. Even if Sakam Bhakti is there, fine. No problem. You want something to happen, we all have Sakam Bhakti, it's perfectly okay. For family, for career, for health, for this, that. Ask. No problem. Ask everything. I say it all the time. We do puja, havan, everything we're doing every day. What is that? Ask whatever you want. But it should not be anything negative. It should be Shubha Sankalpa. No problem. Right? But after doing that, you get what you're looking for. Be satisfied with that. Appreciate the divine's grace. And from that, continue the journey further. You see, many people don't continue the journey. They get trapped into Maya again. They get trapped into, I want this and I want this and I'm jumping. Trupti nahi, satisfaction nahi jivan mein. Aisa nahi. That is not the right way. So siddhis do come. Whatever the siddhis are of different kinds. In fact, any power or intelligence or ability we have, all of us, anything, if it is used for seva and for bhakti, 100% fine. Even all these siddhis and everything, the siddhas don't use for themselves. If they are used for the benefit of the world, that is bhakti, that is seva. And they don't use them, that happens by divine will. So even the grantor, like Siddhidatri Devi, she grants whatever she's going to grant to the bhakta. The bhakta says, hey Mahashakti, ye sab aapka hai, main aapko hi arpan karta hu, and you use this body mind complex the way you want. Yatheshasi tatha kuru. When we do this Shama Prarthana, that is the line in there. You do this the way you want to do it, not the way my ego wants to do this. Isme farak hai, right? Because we have free will. God has given us free will. We can, use in our own way. Like so many examples are there. Like for example, power of speech. Power of speech is also a type of siddhi. Siddhi in what sense? Right? How are we going to use our speech in the best possible way? So if we're using it, or at the highest level is to say, hey Prabhu, hey Paramatma, Parameshwari, you speak through this mind, this body. That is a topmost. That is a topmost. But then, there's levels below that, of course. So it's a question of realization. That's why as we progress on this path, so many things do come. It's a scenic path. Devi Upasana is a scenic path. It's a beautiful path, and it is worth entering into, particularly with regards to the experiences inside the domain of Prakriti. Right. So this is Siddhidatri Devi. There's a lot to be said about this. There's many ways to understand this, obviously, and there are many connections with these siddhis. I'm just going to quickly go through this. I didn't mention it before. There is a philosophical realm. It's more like a deeper understanding of these siddhis in terms of philosophy. What is that? The first one, the siddhi number 1, anima, symbolizes humility, self-effacement, capacity to perceive subtle reality. It's sukshma drashti hoti hai hamari. That's mahima stands for magnanimity, expansion of consciousness to cosmic proportions. Magnanimous. And you are very open-hearted, giving personality. This is another way to understand these siddhis. Garima, heaviness, symbolizes stability, groundedness, gravitas. One is very grounded. A person is very feet on the ground, groundedness. That is called garima siddhi. So this is the more psychological, philosophical way to think about that. There's also a neuropsychological link, but we won't have time for that right now. Now, with the fourth one, the lagima, represents spiritual buoyancy, the ability to become light, freedom from material burdens. What is light? Not carrying any burdens inside our mind. That is called lagima siddhi also. Then prapti, capacity to access hidden knowledge or distant realities. Yes, that's not easy, right? You start studying deeper ideas in scriptures, philosophy, or medical science, or I don't know, whatever your area, physics or jo bhi area hai, accounting or finance, or there's always a deeper and deeper layer in that. So that ability to go to the depth of certain truths, certain areas, that is the capacity of prapti. Right, so that is another meaning. And then to access distant realities, like we have these telescopes right now, but that's there. Yogis can sit in dhyan and see. I mentioned it before. Can see galaxies and Brahmand and chakras and this and that. All that kind of stuff is possible. Then the sixth one is the irresistible will siddhi. The prakyama. The philosophical meaning is embodies mastery of intention and alignment of will with dharma. Mastery of intention. We have intentions, right? But the mastery of intention, what the intention can be, to master that, to align with the will. Align will, meaning our free will, with dharma. So that is a very nice way to understand the sixth siddhi. Then the seventh one, lordship, that is ishtva, I-S-I-T-V-A. What is the philosophical meaning? Refers to spiritual sovereignty and mastery over one's own faculties. We talked about that before, right? The jitam jagat kena manohi. That's number 7. And number 8 is subjugation. So that is vashitva. Vash karna. Kisi ko vash karna, like this, So vashitva, but not in a negative way. Master yourself. That is interpreted ethically as self-mastery rather than domination of others. It's not about dominating anybody else, although people use power that way to dominate somebody. It's a terrible thing, to try to do that, which people are doing anyway in other ways. So these are the 8 siddhis. Very interesting, a lot of interesting ways to see all this. There's one more point in the next 10 minutes or so, 12 minutes. I want to talk about Kanya Puja in the, or Kumari Puja. This is done on the 9th day of Navratri also. This is called Kanya Puja. And this is the worship of the maiden, a ritual venerating pre-pubescent girls as embodiments of the goddess. So they are young girls who are, representative of Devi. So this is also called Kumari Puja. And there is quite a bit of fantastic significance behind this. Let me see how to put this actually in a little bit more straightforward manner. So the basic point is that there is the vision of the Mahashakti in the form of the Devi in front of you, in this small 7-year-old girl, let's say. This is called living icon. So it is the embodiment of God. It's a certain spiritual technology of asking God to come inside that small 7-year-old female, in which the young girls are being installed as living icons, material bearings as sacred, as a sacred presence. I have actually, you may have seen this. This is done when there are big pujas and havans done, and then there is the Kanya Puja. So then the young girls are dressed up, and the tilak and everything, And then with all the mantras done, you're asking Devi to come in that form. And then people are actually, touching the feet and getting blessings, and it's pretty amazing, actually. I remember at our Mahalakshmi temple here some years back, one of the pujaris, he had done this. So when he did the Chandi Homam and everything, they do the Kanya Puja also, very systematically, properly done. And then and he said it specifically. He said after he'd done all the mantras and puja and everything else, he said that the girl that was sitting, in that row, so he said everybody touch her feet, because this is Devi. Now not seeing just that girl, not seeing the human frame only, but isme divyata hai. So it is a very fascinating way of asking God to come in human form. I mean, there's the Agni form, that is the Havan that we have been doing and all. That is that form. There is the form of the Murti, deity. But there's also the Bala form, the young girl form. So it's a veneration. It's a tremendous respect, excuse me, and adoration of the presence of God. It is the embedded dramatization of Shakti. Making the feminine principle experientially available to a community. I hope that makes sense. It's like saying, okay, Bhagwan kaha hai and all that. No. You try to see God inside the small 7-year-old girl. And that can be done all the time. When we see children, I mean, of course, during Navratri and Puja and all that, but when we see children are nirdosh. Main quality क्या है इसमें कोई दोष ऐसा दोष नहीं. They may have doshas that are going to come later on. That's a different matter. But in the earlier stages of life, they don't know anything about the sansara and all that. So there is a innocence there. There is a natural innocence there. There is the non-development or the non-manifestation of vasanas at that age. At the age of 5, 6, 7, like this, they are in a state of purity. And that is our goal, to go back into that child-like saintliness. That is its actual goal. So the whole purpose of this, in one sense, of course, presence of Devi and divine and all that, but it is there, that process, that manifestation is there, so that we awaken, it's called in psychology, awaken your inner child. What is that inner child? That is saintliness, sadhuta. In Gujarati we say, Santni sthiti balak jevi sthiti hoy. Balak jevi sthiti. It's like, when you have very big saints, they're radiant with jnana and bhakti. And it's a innocence, not like innocence in terms of unmanifested vasana, not that kind of innocence. It is innocence nirdosh. Nirdosh sthiti hai. Dosh nahi hai. So this is a reminder for us, and it is because it's a 6, 7-year-old girl, or even boy for that matter, unme kya dosh hai? They don't have any dosh. Yeah, they might be shouting and screaming over toys and all that thing, but other things are not there. So in particularly when young kids like this are placed for puja and they're sitting for havan, they are more impacted by the mantras than anybody else, because their mind is so fresh. So they can resonate better with all of the mantras better than even the adults or anybody else for that matter. I mean, others can also, but this is their natural capacity. Om mantra, Aim mantra, all these beautiful mantras that are chanted during Navratri time. The children should be sitting with the family. And then, so does it help them in their life? Yes. It is a big blessing in their entire life. The younger, the more exposure there is to Namah Shivaya mantra, Om mantra, Navaran mantra, etc. These mantras, Vishnu Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam, the more exposure there is from childhood, the better off their life is going to be. Because their system is built with that vibration, spandana. That's one meaning, right? There's a lot of meaning behind this. This Kanya Puja, I mean, if I have a lot of research on this, actually, it would take me many months to go over all this thing with you all. But it is absolutely amazing. So it is the manifestation of the sacred within the mundane. human body is human body. 7-year-old girls or 7-year-old boy, they're just, एक नारायण का स्वरूप है. 7-year-old boy, even in the Shakti Upasana, is considered to be Swarup of Narayana. Yes. And that is not some imaginary thing or something like that. Oh, hey, if the kids are brought up with Narayan mantra, Shiv mantra, etc., then their manifestation of Narayana, absolutely, particularly in this way. And then, so amazing things are possible. The point here is that there is this sacred within the mundane. So this is called these are the effects, meaning what? There is the effect. The effect of the spirituality as a symbolic inversion. It's a symbolic inversion, but it's not just a symbolic inversion. It's an actual inversion. So when you have a 7-year-old young girl, or let's say you have 9 of them, like Navdurga, how we say, 9 young girls dressed up beautifully, and all these Om Maim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche, all these beautiful mantras are done, Havan is done, and they're sitting there, and then there's kumkum placed on their forehead and on their feet, and then there is the asking from the pujari, from the devotees, from everybody, that hey Parameshwar, you come in this form. So this is the belief. This is the Shraddha ki bhi baat hai isme, that wo Parameshwari, she comes in these 9 forms as the Kanya. So it's called Kanya Puja. So the puja is done. This is called an inversion, right? It's a psycho-spiritual inversion. So this is where now Devi is present. So with that bhav, we touch the feet of the young girl, or bow down. I've seen people doing prostrations in temples to these young girls. I think people who are not in the Indian community say, what is going on? What is going on actually? But this is this is the great spirituality. Look at the amazing spirituality that has developed over thousands of years. Have you seen this kind of thing anywhere? Unbelievable, it's absolutely extraordinary. So from a phenomenological perspective, meaning focused on the lived experience, the devotee's intentionality is directed towards the girl as goddess in presence, generating an edictic intuition. These are complicated words, I know. It means that my experience is what I'm seeing Devi. This is a simple meaning. The intentionality, the intention, the bhakta's intention is to connect with Devi. So how can Sachin then connect with the Devi? If I see the small-year-old girl, remove that human aspect. It's there, but it's the divine in the human. This is the point, and this is the whole idea of the Jivan Mukta state. The Jivan Mukta state is where we are then eventually able to see the divine everywhere. So this is a beginning point. It's an access point. It's Siddhi Datri Devi. This is the big siddhi actually, the capacity to perceive the goddess, the divyata, divinity in children first. It's a beautiful place to begin. That's another meaning. Beautiful place to begin. Kitni sundar baat hai. When families come together, have children come together. Let them do Om Namah Shivaya mantra. Let them do some Om sadhana. See all the kids as your own children. Get rid of any harmful rag, dvesh, competition. See them as manifestation of divine with love and affection. Isko kehte hai prem shakti. That's the whole point of prema bhakti. Now you can see the link there. Prema bhakti, prem lakshana bhakti, mukta sthiti, and the Siddhi Datri Devi. And we are at 9 a.m. right on time, right on the dot. Absolutely amazing stuff, folks. So happy Navratri to everybody. I'll just do the closing mantra. We'll open it up some questions. I do have a couple of announcements also, and then we will go from there. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaracha Sarvada Om Ganganapate Namah Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Swaha Sarvamangal Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanyatrambake Devi Narayani Namostute Om Hrim Swaha Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu.